All right, so I was not expecting this big of news today at all about the new spin-off game based around Cyberpunk, or it's going to be based on the Witcher franchise. So you guys may remember, of course, that CD Projekt acquired a little studio called the Molasses Flood, and they are currently working on a game based on, of course, one of the existing IPs within CD Projekt's umbrella of games. That is going to be Cyberpunk or The Witcher. We know that for sure. Well, we got huge news today as to what we can expect from this game. And yes, it looks like it's going to be heavily focused around multiplayer features. I kid you not. This is going to be very, very big. So let's go ahead and dive into this. But we're also going to talk about some other Cyberpunk news. We're going to talk about the brand new Witcher Saga game. Some people are calling it Witcher 4, although I guess that's completely wrong. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. But first, let's dive into this one right here. Here is the headline. It says CD Projekt Red is working on multiplayer for either Cyberpunk or the new Witcher. Now, we got to dive into this further because there's a lot more to this today. We have a new job listing. It says a new job listing from earlier today. CD Projekt Red is seeking a lead multiplayer designer to create engaging multiplayer gameplay features, game modes, and scenarios for one of its intellectual properties. And we have to go to the actual page to dig into this more, because we find the key connection in the actual page here, the official stuff. It says right here, CD Projekt Red is looking for a lead multiplayer designer to support the Molasses Flood development studio in their own ambitious project, which is based on one of CD Projekt's IPs. This is massive. It says, you will lead a team charged with creating engaging multiplayer gameplay features, game modes, and scenarios, driving them all from concept to implementation. Now, you guys may remember previously CD Projekt backed off of the whole thing about, hey, you know, we're developing an entirely standalone multiplayer Cyberpunk game and so on, and they are more interested in adding online elements to, of course, their existing franchises. But this is completely different right here. This seems like a full-blown multiplayer game based around either Cyberpunk or The Witcher. And if we look at the Molasses Flood and their history, they have made a single player game, but they've also made a cooperative game, which has multiplayer. And personally, based on their history, if you look at what they've done, I think what they're building is some sort of cooperative game, either in the Cyberpunk universe or the Witcher universe. But we got to dig in here more. We're going to dig in here more. It gets interesting because let me know. I want your opinions as well. Do you think it's going to be for Cyberpunk, or do you think it's going to be for The Witcher? Because right now, what we do know about Cyberpunk is, yes, they are developing online elements for Cyberpunk right now. We have several online multiplayer job listings right here, and that could pair up very well with what Molasses Flood is doing, of course, with their own game. And then, of course, we have a newer listing recently for Cyberpunk 2077. They're looking for a multiplayer programmer. So they are looking for, you know, someone to bring their experience with multiplayer into Cyberpunk. No mention about like new game modes or anything like that compared to this whole Molasses Flood endeavor, because that's pretty significant when you hear them mention entirely new game modes. Multiplayer features. That's telling me that this is going to be a heavily focused multiplayer game that Molasses Flood is currently working on. Now, we got to dig deeper into this as we go to the Molasses Flood job listing page, not just the CD Projekt Red job listing page, but the Molasses Flood job listing page. We have Senior Combat Designer. That piqued my interest. I clicked in there, and this is really, really important. We're going to go to the job description and discover what was put here. It says the Molasses Flood is looking for a combat designer to help drive the vision and implementation of the combat experience in our action game. You will take on everything from the high level pitching enemy and weapon types to the sub-second nitty-gritty, placing iframes and damage volumes, tweaking damage scales, etc. You will work across disciplines from art and animation to engineering. This, to me, right here, iframes. You guys know what iframes are usually used for. Games like Elden Ring, Dark Souls, The Witcher. Perhaps they would use iframes to study things with melee combat for Cyberpunk. That could be possible, but that that one word right there keyed me into the fact that this could possibly be an experience in the Witcher franchise as well. So there's a lot of multiplayer stuff going on at CD Projekt Red right now. But based on what we just read there, please let me know what you think. Do you think, based on all the evidence I just gathered up, this is going to be in the Cyberpunk universe or the Witcher universe? I am so curious of your opinion. Now, also on the Cyberpunk side of things, we have an interesting mod that I wanted to mention real quick, especially for you PlayStation 5 users that love the DualSense adaptive controller. Guess what? There's a mod to support that on PC for Cyberpunk 2077. So yeah, I'll throw those links in the description below. Now, we got to talk about the development process and the thinking going on at CD Projekt Red, because we have some good news and good intentions from I guess we say the creative lead for the brand new Witcher Saga game franchise. Goes on to say this new Witcher game director promises no crunch despite studio history of crunch. This is very big. Jason Slama is the lead head of the brand new Witcher project. He goes on to say, I'm super thrilled to announce I have humbly been working to ensure the success of the next big AAA Witcher game as its game director. Think you could join the team? We have tons of roles open with possibility of remote work to discuss. Now, this kicked off a reply here, of course, from Andy, who goes on to say this right here. You forgot to mention the sign-on bonus of horrible crunch and being treated like a dog. And we have a reply from Jason Slama, who says this, never on my watch, which is a big reassurance that they are changing the mentality over there at CD Projekt Red, that they don't want that sort of crunch for, of course, the new Witcher franchise. Then we have this one right here from TS, who goes on to say this, I hope you've played Elden Ring, sir. Definitely, in my opinion, if you're developing any type of open world RPG that's like The Witcher, Elder Scrolls, or whatever, you have to be playing Elden Ring and checking out that game. Now, good news. Jason Slama says this, sure have. So perhaps they can learn a thing or two from Elden Ring and apply it, of course, to this brand new Witcher saga. It's going to be interesting if they actually do that or not. Now, a lot of people are confused about this new Witcher game. Is it The Witcher 4? What is it? So we have Radic from CD Projekt Red, who goes on to say this, we have not announced today a game called The Witcher 4, a game exclusive to one storefront. It was our initial confirmation of a new saga in the Witcher franchise. Right now, we are not discussing any specifics in terms of story, characters, mechanics, or plot details. So to me, it sounds like it's going to be a new character perhaps, but it's going to be a big AAA experience. And a lot of people were scratching their heads going, well, didn't you learn from Cyberpunk 2077? Why are you even announcing the game so early? So yeah, there was a lot of that going on in replies to that one. But guess what time it is? It is time to go over your top comments from my latest videos. We got some interesting stuff going on in the channel recently. Check this one out right here. We got to talk about Mecha Jammer. This was a really cool one. Mecha Jammer, team approached me recently and were like, hey, can you check out this game for us? And I was like, sure. So check out the full video on the channel, by the way. It seems like a lot of you guys actually enjoyed that. But yeah, I'm very impressed with what they have done with that game because they've updated it significantly. But let's get into the comments here, shall we? So we have Lauren Bucko, who says, haven't seen this format of video from you before. I'm just a couple minutes in and already enjoy this fresh take from you. Your content is great, dude. Thanks for keeping me informed. This really surprised me. That blew my mind. Thank you so much. I really don't know what to say, but thank you. Thank you. You know, I would love to open up a new channel with that style of play. That would be tons of fun to do, like walkthroughs or something for you all. Let me know if that's something that you guys would like to see in the future, because I had an absolute blast, let me tell you what, making that video. And then I did a big rumor video about a potential Ozob DLC. This is like the biggest rumor by far, by the way. I would definitely take this one with a grain of salt for sure. I have no idea if this is going to pan out whatsoever, but let's see what you guys had to say about it, because fans were speculating. The Therion says, would be great if the expansion focused on curing V and Gig Scanner Hustle's focus on finding more pills. This would line up an urgency of survival with the story's pacing. V goes cyber psycho if he fails to get the pills in a certain amount of time. That'd be interesting. I always think it would be cool to have a psycho, mechanic introduced in the game as like a permanent mechanic, and you had to kind of like figure out a way to control it or something, you know, but you can purposely go complete cyber psycho if you wanted to in a controlled manner, kind of like the Hulk. Think about like the Hulk in that way. I think it would be really, really interesting. Then we have this one from Roger, who says, I think fleshing out Perel's storyline would be a great DLC. There's a lot of depth that could be explored there. I managed to discover the base after chasing the van and believe Jefferson would call me if something happened to Elizabeth. I don't really care about the Bozo storyline. It really would not interest me. A Max Tack or Crystal DLC Crystal Palace DLC would definitely be good DLCs as well. I totally agree about this for sure. You know, I hear what you guys are saying about Ozob. It's interesting to see that there's a lot of the community, I guess you would say the Brazilian community, really like Ozob, and then some of the community are like indifferent about it, I guess you would say. That's something I've noticed from the comments for sure. It's going to be ultimately up to CD Projekt Red, of course. Then we have this one right here from Pierluigi Capato, who says, I still would like alternative stories and not just focusing just only on Silverhand Arc. I think, honestly, that's what we're going to get. I would rather see more immersion to the other side of being Street Kid, Nomad, and Corpo rather than be a generic mercenary and see the game from a different point of view. So why? Because that's not the V I want to be, but the V that CD Projekt Red think we should be. That's not roleplay. It's just linear interactive movie. What I mean by I think that's what we're going to get is I think we're going to get some more different stories beyond just Johnny Silverhand. I do think that is going to happen. And hopefully we get like a DLC that has its own life paths, even if it's like 2, okay? Where you're choosing between Max Tech or the Trauma Team. Can you imagine how cool that would be to choose a career path and it's wildly different? Man, that would be so cool to see that as DLC. Anyway, there it is. Latest happenings around Cyberpunk, the Witcher franchises, some cool stuff happening at the Molasses Flood right now. I really, really hope that they can make something successful over there. I'm rooting for them, of course, because I love both of these franchises. We'll see what happens. But thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you all next time. Take care.